If I want to write any program, I must have individual basic small element. What is predefined words? The meanings of that particular words are already defined and we are not able to change the meaning of those words. Meaning for these keywords are already defined and which is known to the compiler, and we are not able to change the meaning of these words. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my next session, that is Python Basic. I am your Revati ma'am, faculty from the Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, first grade college, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So dear student, in my last session, I started with features of Python and we had the discussion regarding features of Python. Easy to read, easy to code, it is object oriented as well as procedural oriented. Because of its simplicity, most of the application uses Python programming language. So these are some of the features of Python programming language. And in my today's session, I'm going to deal with Python Basic. So what is Python Basic and why we must have basic knowledge about Python? Okay, fine. So dear student, let me to take very simple example here. Think that I want to construct a house. To construct a house, what I required? I required basic essential element. Like I must have property. Is land is enough? No. Along with that, I must have sufficient capital. Is capital is enough? No. Along with that, I must have manpower as well as other materials like sand, cement, rod, etc. To construct a house, I must have these small element. Similarly, if I want to write any program, I must have individual basic small element. So the smallest element of a program is known as token. To write a program, I must have the token. And if I consider tokens, example for tokens are keywords, identifiers, data types, variables, along with that operator. And if I want to write any program, I must have token. Similarly, in my Python, I must have the token. Okay, and which are the token I'm going to have in my Python? That is nothing but the keywords. Along with that, variables, identifiers, statements, expressions, as well as operators, etc. Anyway, in my today's session, I'm going to deal with Python keywords. So what is keyword? Keywords are nothing but the reserved words or predefined words. Then what is predefined words? The meanings of that particular words are already defined and we are not able to change the meaning of those words. So here keywords are predefined reserved words used in Python programming that have special meaning to the compiler. So here keywords are nothing but the reserved word and meaning of that words are already known to the compiler. And we cannot able to use the keywords to define the variables as well as identifier, because each word have its own meaning. So we cannot able to use keyword as my identifier or variable. Now, example for keywords are false, true, and, if, or, is, in, while, do while, try, finally. So these are the example for keywords, and meaning for these keywords are already defined and which is known to the compiler, and we are not able to change the meaning of these words. Okay, fine. If I consider second token, that is nothing but the identifiers. So what is identifier and why we want identifier and what are the rules I want to follow while defining the identifier? Okay, fine. If I ask you that how you are going to identify me, how? By the subject, what I'm going to teach. By the name, right? By the name, you are going to identify me. Similarly, if I want to identify programming element, then I must have the identifier. Example for identifiers are variable name, method name, class name, etc. So identifiers are the name given to the variable. Okay, fine. If I write sum, so what's the meaning? Sum. After adding some number, whatever the result I'm going to get, that is sum. Okay, fine. If I write student, see, by seeing this, I can able to identify, is it variable or is it method name or is it class name or class. Okay, fine. See here, language equal to Python. So here I'm going to assign Python to language. So what is this here? This is a variable. Okay. This language holds the value Python and it's of type string. So here language is a variable. It's nothing but an identifier which holds the value Python. Okay, fine. And if I consider my second example here, continue equal to Python, and this statement is wrong. Why this statement is wrong? Because here continue is a keyword. Then what is keyword? Keywords are reserved word and it includes some specific meaning. Okay, so here continue is a keyword and I cannot use keyword as my identifier. So for that reason, the statement is wrong. So we cannot use keyword as identifier name. Okay, fine. Now, what are the rules I want to follow while defining an identifier? So, dear student, just remember here one thing, that you cannot able to define the identifier according to your wish. While defining an identifier, you must follow the rule. In that, the first rule is identifiers cannot be a keyword. We have some keywords, okay? We cannot able to use keyword to define my identifier. So, keywords are not an identifier. Identifiers are case sensitive. So, dear student, please make a note here. Python programming language is case sensitive. So, what is case sensitive? Here, uppercase letters are different from lowercase and lowercase letters are different from uppercase. So, that is known as case sensitive. And in my program, see, if I use capital letter X equal to 10 and while printing, if I use small letter x, I'm going to get the error because see here, while defining variable, I used capital letter and while printing, I'm using small letter. So the ASCII value of capital letter X and small letter x is different. It can have a sequence of letters. In the sense, while defining an identifier, I can use sequence of letters and digits. So, sequence of letters in the sense what? I can have small letter A to Z, capital letter A to Z and 0 to 9. And while defining identifier, I can start with a letter or underscore. The first letter of an identifier cannot be a digit. I cannot write 9A. I can write A9. I can write underscore A9. So these two are valid one and this one is invalid. It is a conversion to start an identifier with a letter rather than. Okay, fine. While defining identifier, for example, student, info. See here, what I did, I gave the space between student and info. So it is wrong. So I cannot able to give white space. Instead of that, I can able to use underscore to join two words. So here, student underscore info is correct one. And we cannot use special symbols like @ hash. Okay, so we cannot able to use special symbols like @A. This is wrong. Or A@9. This is also wrong. So these are the certain rules we have to follow while defining an identifier. Okay, fine. Now, I'm going to have expressions and statement. So what is expression? See here, if I have the statements like 3 plus 4 plus 5. So what it is? It is a sequence of digit. Yes or no? It's a sequence of digit. An expression is a sequence or combination of value. So what is expression? Expression is nothing but a sequence or combination of value. For example, think that A is 3, B is 2 and C equal to 1. And if I write A plus B plus C, this is known as expression. Example, x equal to 5, y equal to 3 and if I write z equal to x plus y. So 5 plus 3 it is 8. So what's the value of z? Z is nothing but 8. So here in the above example, x and y and z are the variables. See, x, y, z. 3 are variables followed by the operators like plus and equal. Okay, fine. Then what is statement in Python? So, any instruction that a Python interpreter can execute is called a statement. So, instructions are nothing but statement. Any number of instruction that can be executed by the Python interpreter is known as statement. If I instruct my daughter to write the exam, okay, then it is nothing but a statement. So a set of instruction that can be executed by the interpreter is known as statement. In simple word, a statement is the smallest executable unit of code. So what is statement? Statement is nothing but smallest executable code. Okay, for example, if I write print A, this is statement. If I write A equal to A plus 1, so this is also statement. This is smallest unit. It is smallest executable unit. And who is going to execute this one? That is nothing but the compiler. Okay, so any instruction, any number of instruction that can be interpreted by the Python interpreter, then it is known as statement. So here I am assigning A equal to 10 and I am going to print the value A. So dear student, as we know that Python is interpreted programming language, and here we don't have the compiler, we have interpreter. And how Python is going to execute this statement? That is, it's going to execute one statement at a time and print the output. Okay, fine. Now I'm going to have variables. So I'm going to have variables. So what is variable? Variable is nothing but the name given to the memory location. It is a container used to store the value. Okay, fine. For example, think that I'm going to buy 1 kg of potato. After buying, where I'm going to store that potato? For that, I required 1 bag. So, bag is nothing but the container where I'm going to store the potato. In order to carry the potato, I must have the bag. So I cannot able to carry the potato without any bag. So what I will do, I'm going to take 1 bag. In that I'm going to store the potato. Then I'm going to carry the potato. Similarly, here also I have different kinds of value. In order to store that value, I must have the place. For that place is known as variable. So name given to the memory location or container used to store the value. Container used to store the value is known as variable. So variables are nothing but the containers for storing the data value. And how I am going to create variable in Python? So dear students, see the difference here. In C, first I want to specify the type of the data, then I'm going to specify the variable name. But in Python, when I write A equal to 10, then what's the meaning? See here, this A is nothing but the integer. So Python has no command for declaring variable. So I'm not using any command here. A variable is created the moment you first assign a value. See, variable is created when I assign the value. Okay, during runtime, interpreter is going to understand that A is nothing but integer value. See here, these are the example. X is 5, Y equal to John, and if I print X and Y, what is the output? I'm going to get 5 and John. Okay, here X is nothing but the integer, and whereas Y is nothing but the string. And in Python, I can able to assign the string in 2 ways. One is using double quote, another one is using single quote. Okay, fine. Then variable names. A variable can have a short name. In the sense, while defining the variables, what are the rule I want to follow. So I cannot able to write the variable name according to my wish. I want to follow the rule. A variable name have a short names like X and Y, or more descriptive names, for example, age, name, okay, total volume, etc. A variable name must be start with a letter. So dear student, while defining variable, I want to start with letter, or I can start with the underscore, but I cannot able to start with digit. A variable name can only contain alphanumeric character and underscore. So while defining variable, I can able to combine alphabet as well as digit, and I can able to use underscore. Variable names are case sensitive. So here variables names are case sensitive. What's the meaning? Uppercase alphabet and lowercase alphabets are different. In the sense what? The ASCII value of uppercase alphabet as well as ASCII value of lowercase alphabet is different. A variable name cannot be any of the Python keywords. I cannot able to use keywords to define variables. If I use if as my variable name, then it is wrong, because if is a keyword. And if I use continue, it's a keyword. If I use finally, it's a keyword. So keywords are not used to define variables. Okay, fine. So dear student, in my today's session, I started with basics of Python. In the sense what? If I want to write Python program, then what are the things I want to include? For that, I must have the token. So what is token? Tokens are nothing but the smallest individual element of program. In the sense, if I want to write Python program, then I want to include each and individual elements like variables, identifiers, keywords, operators, data types, etc. And in my class, I started with variables, identifiers, expression, statement, and keywords. Anyway, in my next session, I'm going to deal with operators. Anyway, dear students, let's meet in the next session with the more information about basics of Python. Until that, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.